Let's get it. Welcome, everybody, back to the Limelight Podcast. I'm thrilled, super stoked. This has been a couple months in the making. I'm glad to finally be, even though it's virtually, sitting face-to-face with one of my bass heroes, Mr. Billy Sheehan. Welcome to the Limelight Podcast, sir.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to a good conversation.
Thanks.
Surely.
We really appreciate you coming on. Like, this is awesome to have the time to do this.
So first thing, what do you have? What do you have on the lap right now?
Well, I'm excited about because she's been away for a long time. This is the first double neck bass I had made back in the late '80s, before we had Attitude basses. Yamaha made, it was a series called the RBX. They were nice, but they're a little small for me, so they made a couple custom ones, and they were good, but it still wasn't exactly right. And then we eventually made the prototype for the Attitude bass, and that's what I've played for over 30 years now.
Yep.
But this had kind of been neglected. And actually, I sold it off at one point, and I kicked myself in the ass for it. And I finally the guy got in touch with me, asking if I wanted to buy it back, and I said, I sure do. And it had been refinished, properly by Yamaha, and but it still didn't have the right pickup setup, and so I finally took it to a gentleman here in Nashville, where I'm living now, a place called Corner Music. Jeff Marple is the guy's name. He's a wonderful luthier and guitar repairman. So he got it all set up, got a nice, beautiful purple pick guard on it that matches it all, and got my new DiMarzio pickups in here.
Oh, your signature ones, right?
Yeah. We just came out with they're called the Relentless. It's quite a.
Yep.
Actually, they're working on getting a patent on them now too. There's a couple very unique features about them. So they're sold out everywhere right away. So the response to them has been very, very good. I'm very grateful for that. So we brought it up to speed, and I've been playing it today, just fooling around here, getting my hands in shape. I have a lot of recording coming up, so I'm just trying to get. Your hands are never in shape unless you're performing live, like 2-hour show 5 nights a week or more. So it takes a lot more to get them in shape and keep them in shape when you're not performing live. So I've been just hitting it as hard as I can.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do something during, unfortunately, the past year, just not being able to play live shows.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah, it's been definitely tough. So how's your family and everything? Is everybody okay?
Everybody's good. Yeah, no problem at all. We're not too worried about the situation at hand, but we follow the rules. We wear a mask when we have to, and we hopefully things will open up where we can perform live as soon as possible, in a manner that everyone is safe, of course.
Yeah, fortunately, I think everybody's pretty much on the same page with that, whether or not you think it's overblown or not. It's just follow the rules, let's get it over with, and let's get back to normal society.
Yeah, yes, exactly right.
So have you ever played live with the RBX bass that you got there, or no?
Never used it live, no. There's another double neck, the Attitude double neck.
Yeah.
That I played that live in Mr. Big with Steve Vai, and also now I use it almost for all the time in Sons of Apollo when I play with Sons of Apollo, and so that gets a lot of use. But it's a great bass too. It's a beast though. It's quite heavy. I always tell people my chiropractor loves it.
Yeah, I bet.
Keeps you coming back for more.
Exactly. So, but it's and then the difference is because whenever I post about it, everybody asks: is one neck is tuned standard, another one is tuned super low.
Okay.
Be the last 4 strings of a 5 or 6 string bass.
Okay.
This way, when you're playing, when you switch from a 4 string to a 5 or a 6 string, it's a whole different configuration. It's not any harder to play, but it's just kind of sometimes difficult to remember where exactly you are because there's strings on there that you're not used to. So I love the 4-string configuration. So I just years ago strung one neck B-E-A-D instead of E-A-D-G.
Okay.
Works great. So I've done a lot of records with basses like that. So the double neck is kind of the same, having them both on there at once when you need them. And plus it looks people hear with their eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got to be better. It's 2. Yeah. Just showbiz.
I've always been akin to 5-string basses, but like I see guys like you and kind of like my bass heroes, because I'm a bass player. That's where I learned, and I learned indirectly from my stepfather. He introduced me to you years ago, because specifically I remember as a kid, I remember being in the car, and I remember when my mother started dating him. I was probably like 10 years old, and I asked him, like, so you're a musician, obviously in way less vocabulary than the way I'm about to do it now, but he's like, yeah, I'm a bass player. I was like, what's a bass? Is that a guitar? And he goes, here, listen to the radio really quick. And he tried to get me to figure out where the bass line it was, and I couldn't hear it on the radio. And I was like, why would you want to be a bass player? You can't hear a bass. And he introduced me to you and the recording of MV43345. So that's my mind was blown. I was like, that's a bass player doing that? That was incredible to me. So that was one of the inspiring moments for me to pick up the instrument.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I did that. That was on the Sink Your Teeth Into That album, the Talas record. And initially I was going to do like a big distortion, feedback, wild ass, crazy for that on that record. But my amp was very, was not very consistent at that time. And the distortion part of it failed. And we were up in Toronto at the studio. I couldn't get a replacement for it. So I just said, well, I'll try something. I'll try something clean. Here goes. And that's how we got the. It was never intended to be like a clean piece.
Really?
The clean straight up bass. It was meant to be, all kinds of distortion and stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting. It came out okay that way. So, but
I'd say it came out pretty okay. Yes.
That one there, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Like that opened my eyes to what a bass player is. And I kind of explained that to people, and correct me if I'm wrong in the perspective I have with it. With people that want to pick up an instrument, obviously most people want to go towards guitar. And I explained, I'm like, guitar is probably harder to pick up in the immediacy, but in terms of becoming a master at the instrument, the learning curve for bass is so much steeper.
So I agree for the most part. Getting to the top levels of any instrument is probably equally difficult, but it is true that some are more difficult than others. Like a cello and I think an oboe are considered the two most difficult instruments in the classical piece. But bass is funny because you can play the simplest bass in the world, which doesn't take much facility at all, and have an amazing time and have an incredible career and make millions of dollars and be famous all over the world. And it's totally cool. And you can do that with guitar too. I mean, take someone, for example, like Ed Sheeran, just stands up there, plays his guitar and sings, and who doesn't love him? He's fantastic, it's just beautiful. So there's sometimes an artificial pressure put on people that have to reach a certain level. But you are correct in that on a bass, to start to get the kind of facility that's noticed when you hear it on guitar, I believe it's a little bit more physically difficult, and there aren't as many people that have done that prior to you, so you're kind of in uncharted territory when you're doing it. So a lot of the things that I did when I was young, though there were of course great bass players who I stole everything I could from. A lot of stuff you kind of had to wing it and figure it out on your own. And now, fortunately, there's a huge foundation of players that have gone very, very far and can teach all of us something. So it makes it a little easier. But bass is the good thing about bass is it's the introduction instrument. I mean, you can get in a band and
and just ride the bass kick and just groove with it. Yeah.
I got this. And it's a riot, so it's a great. I love it for that because it's a gateway for people to just start playing, whether they're playing the Ramones or King Crimson or whoever it is. It's a great entrance way.
For sure, I totally agree. Thank you for validating me too, so that makes me feel a little bit better. A little bit.
Gee, you weren't wrong after all.
Really, like what I'm most interested in about your career specifically is really, I would like to ask you about your mindset in terms of being with so many of these super groups with guys like Mike Portnoy, Richie Kotzen. So really the base question I'd love to ask with you is, since you are very much a lead player in terms of how you play a rhythm instrument, Do you find that as like a benefit, or do you find that as a con when you're collaborating with musicians such as Mike Portnoy and these guys that you've been doing music with?
Well, a huge benefit, because I've got, if you can run really fast, you can also walk. You probably couldn't run fast unless you could walk. But you have greater dynamic range now. You want me to just walk through this part? Cool, I'm good with that. Let's try that. Cool, it sounds good. Do we need more? Well, we happen to have a big bag of options here. So if we need, like in the song, the Winery Dogs, "You Saved Me," I did a little bass motif. And it was normally we would have to have another guitar or a keyboard doing it or something else.
Yeah.
So if I can kind of get through and imply that musically on bass, and I'm still playing big fat whole notes as the underpinning, big fat, true whole notes too. Pretty rare for me, I know. But so that adds an element, and I grew up in a 3-piece band where we, with only 3 guys, you would think our repertoire was limited to ZZ Top or Grand Funk Railroad or Cream or bands that only had 3 guys in them. But we did things by the Tubes, by Kansas, by King Crimson, and I had to do the extra parts that were required to make the song sound how it was, do the extra things on bass. So it helped us in a couple of ways. In the comedy way, it helped us because you get $100 and there's 3 guys, you get $33 each. If there's 4, you're only making $25 that night. So that was a serious concern at one point. But it also helped me to it forced me to kind of get more out of the instrument to make up for the lack of B3 or keyboard or rhythm guitar player or whatever other instrument it would be within a song that we wanted to cover. And as a copy band, your goal was to sound as close to how the thing sounded as possible, so that people would enjoy it, come back next week and drink more, and eventually you'd make enough money to pay your rent.
For sure.
So yeah, in the end, it's a help. And again, it's not a necessity. There's a lot of great bass players that I love they're just simple players to play a single note and let it ride. I just finished producing a record by a gentleman who was his name is John Statham, and he's a great songwriter. And as soon as I heard his songs, I said, I don't care what it is. These songs are so great. I gotta work with you. So I produced a record, and it's being mixed now. But it's a little countrified.
Oh, hey now.
And that's not my thing at all.
I was about to say that's.
I mean,
really
you're in Nashville too, so I mean, like, you're
yeah, you have no excuse. You have to dip your toe in it since that's where you are now.
Yes, I have to. But I don't want to intrude on the country players who are already here because they have it down. So all the bass I play on the record is really just rock solid, simple whole notes, and
nice.
It's enjoyable to play too. I don't have to be flying all over the place. It's nice once in a while that I don't have to get all sweaty and hot and change strings every show because I beat them into submission the night before. So that was a cool thing. But and also on the other side of the spectrum, we have a new Talas record coming, and that was a little bit more aggressive, if you will.
So you got your fix from that. That's good, at least.
Yeah, that's important.
Are you still in the recording stages of that, or are you just is it in the mixing phase?
Everything is in the mixing phase right now. For about 3 records that I'm worked on. There's another 3 or 4 full records coming up, and then we have people contacting from around the world to play on their tracks. And I learned my lesson, and I always write back, I got to hear it first before I agree.
Oh.
Right, I would too. Right.
A couple of times I said, sure, and I got it. Oh, man, this is not.
Oh, no.
Not exactly. And God bless them, though, a lot of young players that don't have it quite together yet. At the time I would work with them and try and help them to get the song or piece together. But at this point, we're kind of busy, so I don't have the time for that all the time. So I want to at least hear that it's a piece that's together first before I commit to it. But in that respect, we've done over 120 songs since since we started doing this last summer.
Oh wow, you've been really grinding that.
Yeah, so in all kinds of genres, from electronic dance music to country to death metal to
oh shoot, it's all over the place.
It's cool. It's cool too.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting challenge to sit down and okay, here's the song, open it up, and wow, okay, what are we going to do with this here? And just dig deep. And fortunately, I played for a long, long, long time and played most every kind of genre.
Right.
Not a lot of death metal, but some of it. And so you usually find something you can do to contribute to the piece, and it's been a great adventure.
So, as from your experience in general throughout the years, like, is still being a hired gun as relevant as it was? Let's say like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Because my personal experience, like, I see a lot of you can do a lot, with technology nowadays. Like, you can just really just manipulate anything over a computer and a digital audio board and just really plug in those samples. Like for drums, for example, I just don't think as a hired gun for a drummer, it's not as relevant because you could literally just, take the samples kit and then put it into place with the song. So is that still relevant, you think, in from what your experience is?
You're correct that it is much more. I was never a studio guy. I was always a live and then recording with my band in the studio. I was never like a studio guy. I don't read music anyway. So I got to learn things by ear and by heart. And I've done a lot of studio stuff like that, but it's much easier if a guy's a reading guy. He can sit down with a chart and play through it, and I got it done in no time. But you're correct that the studio scene is pretty much isn't kind of gone, but there still are a lot of people that want to have actual players on their record.
Right.
So that's a cool thing. But yes, you can fake it completely. There's software you can get that'll do any kind of bass you could imagine, or any kind of drum, or it's pretty amazing. And most things you hear in pop music now, straight up pop on the pop charts, there wasn't a musician in sight in most of that. And they were
crazy.
Yes, it's sad to see. But back in the day, I've got a lot of demos from some of the iconic bands that started it all. The Beach Boys, for example. Nobody in the band really played. It was Carol Kay on bass.
Yep, she's been on everything. So
Hal Blaine on drums. He played on almost every 60s single. Forgot the guitar player's name, but he was from Niagara Falls. Anyway, the same bunch of guys played on almost all these records, so there was always a call for studio stuff. And in LA, I remember talking with guys. They'd get in a car, go to a session at 9, hit another one at 11, take a quick lunch break. 1 o'clock, they're doing another record. 2, they're doing, they would do 4 or 5 records in a day, and then go home and repeat the next day. So it's not like that anymore. But it is nice, and it's an interesting thing. Especially, I'll hear from exotic parts of the world. I did record for a guy in Belarus, in Serbia, China, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, all over South America, all over the U.S., Germany, a bunch of Italian stuff. So it comes from all over, and it's an interesting thing. I someday maybe I'll put out a collection of all those songs.
That'd be a hell of a box set.
Yeah, seriously.
Big box.
So, again, another thing I'd love to commend you on is years ago, I messaged you through Facebook just because I was having an inspirational moment where I was playing the bass, I was getting what I wanted to get out of it. And I think I was watching one of your, I think it was a recording of a VHS tape that you had.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of giving advice and just how your repertoire and how you go about your practice routine and some tips and tricks. And I messaged you, not thinking in a million years I'd ever get a message back from Billy Sheehan. And you messaged me back. And really the question I'd like to bring us to now is, since you're very engaging on social media with a lot of people, do you go out of your way to do that on purpose for any particular reason? Because that's something I don't see very often from people at your level.
Well, I do it on purpose. I love to do it. It does take a huge amount of time and resource to do it. There's a lot.
It does.
all combined now, all my social media is probably near 1 million people. Now, fortunately, not everybody writes me every day, but and also my YouTube channel recently took a big bump. I posted some videos that became really popular recently, and so there's a huge amount to deal with there. And I try to, even to click the little thumbs up button or the little heart button, well, let everybody know that I did see it and I read it, and I can't respond to everybody, but when it requires it where I can, I certainly will. But I enjoy it. It's when I first started playing, we'd play in little clubs, and the stage was about maybe 12 inches high above the dance floor area. And so when we get done with a set, we would step off the stage, off the front. Because you couldn't get on the stage on the sides, and there was no dressing room. So we just step off the stage, sit down with our friends at their table, hang out, and have a drink or whatever, and look up at the clock. Oh, we got to do another set. So we'd go back up and play another hour or so. So we were, and the audience were one all the time. So we never had that separation of with the band's over here, and then you people are, So it was always so. Anytime anyone came up to me during those days, outside the club or in the club, say, hey, I got my bass. Can you take a look at it? I'd pull it out of the case and check it out. Okay, the neck's a little off here. We're going to have to get my hex wrench for me, will you? I fixed it up for them on there. So it's kind of a tradition of that from the beginning that we were always engaged and connected. So it's a great thing that I can be connected to so many people. And generally, comments are good and encouraging and helpful. When I ask people's opinions of things, I've got my thumb on the pulse of what's going on out there. That's a good thing, because I don't like to pander to an audience, but I do want to do something that they like. I like it when people like what I do. So this connection on social media now helps me fine tune it into what I think they might be interested in hearing. Again, not to pander, but I do enjoy when people like what I do. That's a nice thing. Once a surprisingly little hatred, and surprisingly, because I know of some people that they just do not look at their comments anymore, and they're famous and hugely successful and loved by millions, but they won't even look at their comments anymore, just due to the nature of some of them. So I try to, when people like that show up, I try to engage them right away. Oddly enough, I just get a comment from somebody, I think there's some horrible thing about me or my band or my bass band, and I just write back and say, bro, you don't even know me,
Right. Well, the problem is everybody has a voice of opinion now that, one, can be anonymous, or two, like, it's just a general thought that everybody's a critic. So I mean, even we get backlash from the podcast sometimes, but like it's nothing severe, but it's just like, it's there. And I think like when people get to that caliber, I think that's why they kind of take a step back and maybe don't engage, because they can't handle that very small handful of negative comments. But yeah, it's everywhere. Like Tomo Fujita, like he comes out with his we just had him on the podcast recently, and he comes out with his guitar program for teaching lessons and such. And long story short, he was saying like, people are saying this is too easy, and then you have another handful of people that are saying like, oh, this is too hard. Like, so like, how do you
can't please everybody?
Yeah, it's difficult. Well, I engage them only because I and so many times, I'm literally 19 out of 20 times rather than 9 out of 10. That's a greater ratio there. I'll say 99 out of 100. No, where I do engage someone, in the end, they're cool. They go, oh no, and I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to read this. And yeah, I'm going to read it. And you post it in the public too. I'm sorry. And I got all your records and I've been to all your shows. Okay, so maybe next time, maybe be a little more diplomatic in what you want to say. Thank you very much. And I try to straighten things out like that. So that would be the only negative to it at all. And it is very, very little. I mean, out of I did a post about how to make a cheap bass play better.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's a really good video.
It blew up. There's about 65,000 views now.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot how many likes, but there was like, last night I looked at it, there's 8 or 10 thumbs down. Out of that many, it's an incredibly good ratio. So
there has to be a contrarian in there just to get their mark. Yeah.
Still, it's not bad. I mean, you're out of 1,000. any given time, if they're in a room with 100 people, there's probably 5 that don't like you.
Yeah,
no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody. So it's interesting in that respect to kind of see what's really going on, get a reality on what people think and what they say, even the negative. It's part of reality. You know, it's good to know to some degree. But I do enjoy it. I do actually enjoy it. And it has come in really handy in some respects where, you know, I write back to somebody would write to me and they're, you know, at their wit's end and they're, you know, considering hurting themselves or something. And I just write back and just good roads, good weather. Hey, you know, thanks for listening to my music. It means a lot to me. Whatever, you know, just take good care of yourself and, you know, try to be. And, you know, I hear from them a month later that they're okay now. They were going through a rough time. It was a big help to them. So I'm paid in full for that's the greatest thing. That's the greatest thing that could happen to an artist is you affect somebody in some way that something positive happens in their life. Something negative drops away, something positive comes in. And so I've seen that aspect of it too. So I will continue to respond and be interactive with people forever. It's important to me. And plus, another great side of it, wherever I go, I got somebody there that I know.
Yeah,
I'll be in Perth, Australia, doing a bass clinic, and anybody here got an email for me? And about 20 hands go up, you know. And then afterwards at the bar, we're all having a beer together and having a great time. So it's a good thing.
Oh God,
bass clinics. I noticed that you've been doing masterclasses. Obviously, in a COVID environment, I know you guys have been taking precautions with it. How's that been? How's that been?
It has been amazing. One-on-one. We're in a relatively large room that's separated out. I sit on a couch and the guy's on a chair, and we both got a little amp. And I start to go over their playing with them and ask them, you know, what they might want to improve upon, what they're having trouble with, any question they have about me and my playing, anything I could show them, music in general, songwriting, all subjects are covered. And we always offer, you know, if you want us to be masked, we can do that. If it's up to you, it's up to the participant. Most of them are cool. And we videotape the whole thing so that they can take it home with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we go, I think we're scheduled for an hour, but we always go at least an hour 15. And then after, you know, if they want anything signed, we take photos together and all that.
Have they been winning that through like a raffle, or how's that? It's been a certain giveaway circumstance, right?
Oh, no, it's here in Nashville. This is one-on-one in Nashville. They have to contact the store.
Oh, okay.
And purchase the time slot. Usually we do Saturdays and Sundays, maybe once a month. So each day we'll have 3 time slots.
Yeah.
Maybe one time we added 4 because we had a lot of backup. So we added 4. It was a little grueling because I'm talking like this for, you know, a full hour. All right, thanks. Nice to meet you. Okay, see you later. Take photos. Okay, next one, and I do it again for now. So by the end of the night, I'm wiped out. But I still, you know, so just that was my endurance is for 4 of them in a day. So we do that usually a session a month, a weekend per month. Right now we don't have anything scheduled, but I'm going to probably schedule something for the end of March.
Cool.
Maybe beginning of April. And another good thing about it is I stay in touch with a lot of the participants where I encourage them to write to me, stay in touch, find me on social media if I can be of any further help, because we definitely went over some things. You know, I say check in with me in 2 weeks and let me know how you're doing. You know, we can always come back and do it again too, or just stay in touch, or I can explain something online, or in a situation like this on Skype or something if they have further questions about it. But it's a joy to help players out and watch them get that moment where they realize something they didn't realize before, and see it on their face. It's kind of interesting. A lot of guys, and some guys have been playing for quite a while too, but they never really built that really solid foundation that not a lot of us do. Sometimes we're going to go back, lift the house up, and start pouring cement underneath after it's been built. Pain in the neck, but you got to do it or it's going to slide down the mud. And so but it's interesting to see when I just take things apart simply for people and judging on their level. I get some absolute beginners too. And I like that because when somebody when someone's an absolute beginner, let's start them off in a way. They say, as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. Let's start them off in a way that it's righteous, so they know. Because there's so much confusing information out there about what you need to do, what you have to know, and it can become overwhelming. Just some real basic cool things that they're going to know and understand is going to launch them. So 10 years on, they're going to be a player.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, especially right now, since a lot of people have had so much downtime to learn an instrument such as bass or guitar, drums, whatever it is. There's so much information available on YouTube where you can get direct access to it, but you don't know where to get the building blocks from. You might be able to do something that's a little bit more technical than you should be doing, and not knowing how to get there is kind of a detriment. So that's interesting that you can bring that up.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and it's very true. It's an ocean of chaos of information. Now, to fine tune it into what's right, what's good for you, what is will actually have actual value later on. That's where, not to be self-aggrandizing, but when you get a guy that's played for a long time, over 50 years, and over 5,000 gigs, at least at that point, I think I can guide someone to something that will be of value to them. And not that someone of lesser experience can't do that also. They certainly can. But I think sometimes I would want to go to someone who's been doing it for a long time and doing it successfully, and find out how they're looking at it. Take it or leave it. I want to see how they're looking at it after all that. So I think that is a unique aspect of a one-on-one thing, not only with me, but with any player that's been playing for a long time. I'm an old man, so I got a lot of experience with that. So that's a good thing. But and all that experience, I'm happy to share and give away. And I've given it away for many years. So most of my clinics are free that I do, is sponsored by a musical instrument company. All of my videos that I put out are all free on YouTube now, so they're all there, so, which is good. So the fine-tuned one-on-one thing, the store charges for. I'm not going to get rich off it. I get a little bit of money, but you go home and you got your video and the whole thing, and it's everyone seems very pleased with the deal, and
for sure,
it's a nice thing, and I do honestly enjoy it.
I can tell.
Yeah, I think the one beneficial thing for musicians, especially the professional level, I think is Zach made a couple points earlier in the year. People are more engaged with learning an instrument now due to, the pandemic and everybody being inside and all that such. I mean, Zach made a point back in the podcast, earlier episodes, Fender's doing very, very well. And we had the co-founder of SJC Drums, Custom Drums, Mike Chapari. Even his, business is doing very, very well with selling drums. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with SJC, but dude, you can name a concept like Ghostbusters, Back to the Future. They build those custom kits from the ground up, and they're just incredible. They're so good. But I think it's fantastic that people are taking an interest in something like music during these times when, when the world stops. So I think maybe a renaissance of some sort might even come back to relevance when the world opens back up.
I've said the same thing. I know all the gentlemen I know that are in the musical instrument business, making pickups or instruments or strings or whatever. They can't keep the production up.
On cloud 9 right now.
Right. Yeah, they just keep selling.
Yeah, it's great. So, and we see a lot. I don't watch a lot of the TikTok kind of social media because it's
a cesspool. Don't get in there.
Yeah, don't get into it because I actually have to keep up with it now. Just
But I do
listen,
know.
I did one video where I suggested music, and now people want me to make Spotify playlists, so I have to do this now. You know what I mean? It's exhausting.
Well, my point is that I have seen a lot of young kids from a whole different generation, and they're playing, and some of them are great. So that's wonderful to see. I really see a lot of young ladies too. It's great to see girls getting involved. Fantastic, and some of them are kicking ass. They're great. Yeah. So that's a good thing. A little bit of a silver lining to the cloud we're all in right now.
For sure. So when you guys get back on the road, whenever that's going to be, what city are you looking forward to most playing in again that you missed the most?
That's a good question. Well, any city.
I'd say that's a safe bet.
Good. And people are. You find I've been very lucky and very grateful to have had the opportunity to travel around the world many, many, many times. I think the year before last time I went around three times around the world performing throughout the year. So we get a great chance to play everywhere in every culture, every situation, people of every language and whatever. And it's just hard to pick one. South America is kind of it's a wild. Rock is king, and it's just amazing. Crowds are huge. It's a riot. A lot of European shows are like that too. We did a Winery Dog show on our first tour, I think, in France, in Paris, and there was so many people in the place. Well, we made a joke. The only way you could fit another person in the place if you cut them in pieces and stuffed them.
Oh my gosh!
So crowded, it was unbelievable. Italy is amazing. Scandinavia, Germany, the festivals in Europe are amazing too. USA still a lot of great strong markets. Japan has been a really special place in art for many reasons. Tokyo is just like on another planet. You know, I always tell people, if you really want to travel someplace exotic, but not be in any kind of danger and still be able to get a great meal and go to Japan.
The food's unmatched in Japan.
Incredible. And the people are sweet and they'll help you out. And they usually know a little bit of English, and it's pretty great. And my wife's from Italy. We spent a lot of time there going to Italy.
What a great excuse.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. At one point, I think there were 4 Mr. Big Copy bands in Italy that were writing to me. You know, so that was a cool thing too. But picking one city would be tough.
I think the correct answer is Philadelphia, by the way.
Okay, Philadelphia is all
specific.
We there's some great. Singapore is amazing. Thailand, I've done shows in Thailand. Korea is just really great. We first went there in the early '90s, and it wasn't as together because they were just kind of getting into the economic upturn that they're experiencing.
Yeah.
And so the venues were okay, but not great. And now, man, the venues are fantastic. Sound and lights are second to none, and the people are just fantastic. As I said, Japan also, Russia. We did some great shows in Russia, in Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia. Some areas of people in America may have forgotten about, but man, their rock is just busting out all over, and it's a riot. And as I said, also South America. And we don't often get to Australia because the travel cost and what have you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's insane.
But I have been there. I played there with Mr. Big, played there with Steve Vai, and it is great. I haven't been to New Zealand yet, though. Can't wait to get there.
Well, you need to.
I heard a lot of great things about Japan. My friend Chris Kehley was one of the co-founders. He's not in the band anymore. The prog metal cover band for Star Wars Galactic Empire. He was out in Japan, and he said, dude, they were treated like just normal people, but like they would walk on stage and everything is completely set up to exactly how they wanted with like the
he said the fans there are just unparalleled.
They're amazing. Yeah, we just did I don't know much about it. I apologize because it's a Japanese thing, but I think it's the 10-year anniversary of the Fukushima quake.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
And so they had a special TV special on in Japan, and I'm starting to see stuff on my social media coming in from Japan about it, and it looks like it was just incredible. We when the quake hit, we were just about ready to leave, and every band canceled, and so we had to make the decision: do we go in or do we stay home? Might it be dangerous or not? So we said, you know what, let's do it, and we went.
Wow.
And we're the only band, the first one and the only band. And we, our philosophy behind it was, like in 9/11, you got to get back into restaurants and movie theaters and plays, get life back up, because all these and all the little bars and little watering holes and sake places were going out of business because nobody was going out. Yeah. And even though things were under pretty good control by the time we got there, we did not see a single visible piece of evidence that anything had ever happened. It was amazing. They got it very together. So our idea was to go there and try to help bring things back to normal. And of course, we adjusted our show quite a bit to make sure there was we had a moment of silence for the people that we lost. We coordinated with the Red Cross, raised about $250,000 for earthquake relief, and just generally we're there for everybody. After the show, we go out and speak with people and hang out and hear their story and all that. And quite touching. So right now I'm getting a lot of stuff on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter from my friends in Japan who have seen the show, and they're excited about it. And a lot of Americans are chiming in, they're going to have a subtitled version. So I'll try to see if I can get that happen and post it. But pretty amazing. They were so appreciative that we did anything. We even wrote a song called "The World Is on the Way" about the world knows what's going on here, and we're on the way to help. And all the proceeds from that single went to Red Cross, and
wow.
We helped a lot of people. We're glad to do it, but it was we owe them. Japan has been very, very kind to us, and as have, like I said, people in Germany and Brazil and everywhere else too. But we're always happy to be there when we can, when we see our friends and fans in a situation, some kind of natural disaster thing. Anything we can help, we do, of course.
Yeah.
Good for you to have that wherewithal.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, $250,000 definitely going to go a long way. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's incredible.
Yeah, very good. We're glad to do it, and so that was. We had a few aftershocks while we were there, though.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
The Japanese buildings, their building codes are rock solid because they know live in an earthquake zone. So that building moves when you're up on the 30th floor.
Oh God!
We're staying in a hotel. It was the Conrad in Tokyo, the Hilton flagship hotel, and the reception is on the 40th floor. So you go up to the 40th floor to check in, and then your room is above that, and the ceiling in the lobby is must be 50, 60 feet high. Yeah. And they have lights hanging from the ceiling that come down about 40 feet. And as we walk in, we see those lights.
Oh, shoot.
No.
Hold on.
I mean, I'm sure people from Cali understand like that whole visual. So
yeah, I was sure. Well, the '94 quake in California, I was in the middle of that, and my house got smashed to pieces.
Oh
it was
my God.
Very dangerous. We were right in the middle. So
wow, that's insane. Jesus.
But anyway.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like, good for you for having the wherewithal to understand that even though you've been all over the world, you've seen so many people, and obviously you've touched a lot of people with your music and your art, that like it means a lot to people, especially when you do the little things like that. And it's probably, I mean, nobody wanted to go into the country. Like, that must have been so disheartening. Like, people were probably really looking forward to that. It's just a distraction of all the misery that's going on too.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's going to be something like that here. Once we get back to normal, we can
that's a good
hopefully
point.
get some more Winery Dogs and Sons of Apollo shows, Mr.
Right
Big, Talas. That'd be great to see that stuff.
Right on, yeah. Yeah, the new Talas record, and funny you should mention it. I just spoke at a call with everybody in the band this evening, and
cool.
They're doing mixes now, and we decided to do this record. We thought, well, I left the band in '85, joined Lee Roth, but they, I hadn't really played with those guys or dealt with them at all. This particular version of Talas, the last one that I was in, and so we said, well, I guess we could do. We did a couple shows, and it was a riot, and we had a blast. So I guess we could do a record, because a lot of the songs that we had, we never recorded properly. They showed a couple live albums, but nothing was ever really recorded properly. And they're on bootlegs and stuff from cassettes back in the mid '80s. So I thought, well, let's just go get our old songs and do them again. Well, we could also do some new songs too. We thought, let's just do the old stuff. Let's do a time machine right to when that happened. And we could rewrite them, and then, let's leave them the way they are. Even so, there might be some goofy lyrics and some things that I would never let fly these days. But at the time, that's how we did it. So we stuck true to the moment that happened back in the mid '80s, and it came out really good. So we're really pleased with it, and everybody's playing and singing like they as good as ever. So it's really cool.
That must be really neat to just be able to kind of step into a time machine. Did it feel like you were back in the '80s, like playing with the original live? That must be wild to have that sensation.
Oh, it was a blast. And we're all still good friends too. So we got together to record the basics. We're all in the drummer's house. And the drummer built his own house, like from scratch. And they also built his drum kit. So he had he's a brilliant craftsman. So he built this drum kit in the house that he built, and we recorded it in there. And we had a riot, just playing the stuff the way we used to do it. And so we're really looking forward to it. It's about halfway mixed now. I'm not sure when we're going to get it out, but I'll be posting it like a madman on my social media when we do. So we're excited.
We'll be waiting for it. We'll definitely be excited to see that.
Excellent.
Well, Billy, I'm thrilled to have talked to you. Thank you for giving us your time. I know that you're pretty busy right now, so it means the world to us for you to come on.
Thank you very much. And all good questions tonight, too.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
We appreciate that.
That was good. A lot of listeners, we spoke a bit, if the listeners don't know, prior to that. And I've done a lot of these, and a lot of people just ask the same thing over and over again. So it's so refreshing to get some new, different questions. Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
I'll take that as a badge of honor. That's what I try to do.
Thank you. Yeah, this is all credited to Zach, dude. Zach's doing a fantastic job. So that's awesome.